Welcome to Patriot 6. I make SDK tutorial videos for Microsoft Flight Simulator. I have created 70 tutorial videos in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and now I'm starting on Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. I'm running behind schedule because Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 was just not in a good state for me. I had many missing assets, but I believe it's now at a point where I can start making tutorial videos for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. I have a small following that I'm proud of, and hopefully I can connect with some new people and help them build scenery in MSFS 2024. I take pride in thinking that I take my time and show people how to do things as best I can. I try to think, how can I best learn? And then I apply that to the videos that I put out. And with the 2024 videos, I plan on adding slates where you can take screenshots that will help you better get through the process. The goal here is to help you learn in the easiest way that you can learn in a video. So that's the goal that I hope to accomplish with these 2024 videos. The subjects that I'm going to cover in this video is installing SDK, file organization, loading SDK samples, operating the developer camera, how to make your own custom thumbnail. I'm going to explain airport packages. We're going to open the editors. We're going to build the first package. We're going to test the package, and then we'll have a wrap up. And now I think it's time to get started. So let's rock and roll.
Patriot Six, scenery builder. Learn to build with SDK, creating scenery in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Patriot Six, scenery builder. It's time to create, cast your fears away. Patriot Six, scenery builder. Learn to build with SDK, creating scenery in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Patriot Six, scenery builder. It's time to create, cast your fears away.
Before I upload each video, I go through the video and mark timelines to set chapters. And I do this to make it more convenient for the viewer. Anytime you're watching one of the videos, you can drop down to the description, tick on the Show More, and as you roll through the Show More, it will have pertinent information like the Patriot Six Channel, the Patriot Six Scenery Group, Discord, any videos that I believe are relevant to the subject, and then you get into the chapters of the video. This is the subject content, and here are the basic tutorials. You can skip around, or you can come back and find a chapter that you may need to rewatch later simply by ticking on the number, and you will immediately go to the chapter that you selected. Install SDK. Okay, let's get SDK installed and up and running. So the first thing we want to do from MSFS 2024 is go up to the gear icon and select, then drop down to Advanced Options. At the very top you see Developer Mode. We want to tick on Developer Mode, and then we can hit Save and back. Now once you go into developer mode, you'll see a new menu that appears at the top. and you will see that under dev mode, you see a yellow dot. And that means either one or two things. You do not have SDK, do not have SDK installed, or the SDK you have installed is out of date. So after you start building scenery, and anytime you return back and open the simulator, and you see the little yellow dot when you've already been building scenery and have SDK, then you know that your SDK can be updated to a newer version. So to install, we're going to start out and we're going to tick on dev mode. And then we're going to the top option, which is SDK update available. And it should automatically select the newest version. So we want to hit download. And when we hit download, a browser is going to pop up and you're going to see that it's downloading SDK. Now we want to go to our downloads folder. And this is important here, even though you can tick on the zipped folder and you can go to the core installer, what we want to do is to extract. And you can extract right here in this location on the download folder. Now once it's extracted, we want to open it up and we want to go to the installer and double tick. Want to hit next, want to accept and hit next. And now we arrive at our first option, and that is, where do we want to install the SDK? This is completely optional and up to you. I'm going to install SDK on a G drive, but you can install it wherever you want to. So once I select the drive, I'll hit OK, and then I'll hit next, and then I'll install. And once the install is completed, you can hit the finish button. And once the installation is complete, if I want to go down and double check that it installed, I go to the G drive and you can see MSFS 2024 SDK. So it looks like we're good to go there. Install SDK Samples. Now, this here is completely optional, but if you want to have samples in your library in the event you need a sample or want to use samples, we'll go ahead and download samples. So I'm going to hit Help, Samples, move over here to Samples, and your browser will pop up again and a window will pop up showing that you're downloading the SDK samples. And once the samples have downloaded, you want to go to your download folder or wherever you downloaded it. And let's go ahead and extract all. And I'm going to do the extraction right here in the downloads folder. Your choice, wherever you want to do it. And now I'm going to open the folder, look for the installer, and install the samples. Of course, I'm going to accept, and once again I'm going to hit next, and I'm going to install. And then of course, once it's complete, we're going to tick finish. So the samples should have installed in the SDK folder. What you want to do is navigate to the location of the 2024 SDK and open it up. And then we're going to samples. And now I'm going to open the dev mode projects folder. And now I'm going to open sceneries. And here's where all of your samples are. So I'm going back up a level. I'm going to copy the sceneries folder. I'm going back to the working scenery folder and I'm going to paste it in. And with the paste complete, I'm going to rename this folder MSFS 2024 SDK Samples. So that's how you get the samples. File organization. And now I'm going to speak about something that is completely optional. I'll show you what I do, and you may do what I do, or you may decide you want to do something different. I do recommend that you organize the scenery files you're working with. So I keep a folder on the desktop called Patriot Six Scenery. And in the first level, it just has various things that I use from time to time. But when I'm working on scenery, I have a working scenery folder, and in there is where I keep the scenery that I'm working on. It gives me a neat place to save it until the package is complete. I also recommend that you keep a folder on your PC of your completed scenery files. And what I would do with this folder is make sure that you store the full scenery file. So if you ever need to go back or ever want to go back and work on older scenery, you can. As long as you store the complete file and not just the package, you can go back and do changes later on down the road. Operating the developer camera. And now I'm going to show you how to use the dev camera. Now here's a warning, keep this in mind. The dev camera and the drone camera are tied together. So if you go in and make changes to the drone camera in terms of what keys control the movement of the drone camera, it will also affect the developer camera. So keep that in mind in the event you go and make your own custom drone camera moves. Assuming no changes have been made, this is how the dev camera will work. Up on the dev menu, we want to tick on camera and developer camera. Now normally I like to hit the F key and drop down and hold down the Alt key and move just a little bit to get it anchored. The developer camera has camera setting options where you can change the translation speed and rotation speed if you want to. If this is a little too fast, then you can go in and make the changes you need simply by going into the developer camera settings. We'll start with up and down. To go up, you press the key R, and to go down, you press the key F. To go left, you press the key A. To go right, you press the key D. To go forward, you press the W key. To go backwards, you press the S key. You can change your azimuth with the number pad keys 4 and 6. Here is 4. Here is 6. You can also tilt the camera with the number keys 8 and 2. Here is 8. And here is 2. The free movement is the thing you'll probably use the most. And to use free movement, you just hold the Alt key down. You can hold the left mouse button down and just move wherever you want to move, spin, or do whatever. If you have a zoom wheel on your mouse, you can also zoom with that. I will now put a slate up, and I'll leave this slate up for a few seconds in the event you want to take a screenshot of it. Making a thumbnail. Alright, now I'm going to show you how to quickly build your own custom thumbnail. Here's the one I'm going to use, but if we take a look at it and look at the properties of it, we see that it is 412 pixels wide and 170 pixels high. That's mandatory. 412 by 170 pixels is the only size that SDK will accept for a thumbnail. So let's say I'm working on a package for Nashville. I'm just going to find whatever image that's convenient. I like to use the Windows snipping tool, the free tool that's in Windows for snipping. And I'm just going to hit new and try to guess as best I can, knowing I'm probably going to miss it some. But now I've captured the image and I'm going to edit this image in Paint. So I want to select the entire image and then I want to resize it, and I'm going to go by pixels so that I get it right. So that's 412. And I want to unlink it here. 412 by 170. I need to crop to it. Now I'm going to just save that image as a JPEG. I'm going to save it into the working scenery folder, call it whatever you want. Now if I test it, hopefully I hit it correctly. 412 by 170 pixels. So this will work as a thumbnail in the MSFS SDK. Airport packages explained. And now to save time, I will put a slide up that shows the different types of projects you have to use if you're working on an airport. I'll leave it up for you to take a screenshot. Build the first project. Now we're going to build our first project. Here are the steps we will follow in building the project. I will open the editors. I will enter the pertinent project information. I'll save the project. I will build the initial package. I will add scenery, save the scenery, build the final package. Then I will move the package to the community folder and I will test the package. So I'm going to put a slate up if you would like to copy this slate. The slate will indicate the steps that it takes for each project, so you can take a screenshot of this. You have to follow this process in every project that you build to be successful. If you miss a step along the way, you're not going to be successful. It's very important to understand it takes 2 saves and 2 builds for every project. Save the project once all the information is entered into the editor. Build the initial package. Add scenery and save the scenery. Build the final package. Move the package to the community folder or the scenery folder. Open the editors. And now I'll begin by opening up the editors. This is not my first time opening the editors up, so the editors will open up on the screen in a location I have placed them that's my preference. If you're opening up the editors for the first time, you're going to see something different. I'm going up to the developer menu. I'm going to tick on editors and open the project editor. Now when you do this for the first time, the project editor is probably going to be on the right hand side of the screen from the top all the way down to the bottom. It'll look like this. So what you'll do is you'll reach up and grab the project editor by its name and you can move it. And then once you can move it, you want to get to the bottom right corner. You see the little blue line there. And then you can size up the editor and move it wherever you want. And you're going to see this with every window that you open up. Every window that's part of building projects will open up either on the right side or the left side and look like I just showed you, and you'll have to resize them, figure out what you like best on your screen, and then you'll be good to go from that point on. On the project editor, I'm going to view, and I'm going to open the project inspector. And now I'm going to start the new project. On the project editor, I'm going to project and new project. And this window pops up here. And now I'm going to put a slate up that you may take a screenshot of. I'll show you the things you do with the project wizard. On this part here where it says project folder, you have 3 dots. That's where you set the path to where you want the project stored. And this line here is going to be the project name, and it will show up in the package and the project folder. Here is where the default creator name goes to be displayed in the content manager. You'll want to select the name you're going to use as your creator name and enter it into this box. The default company name is the company name that you will use, and it will be part of the folder name, and it will be part of the package name. And here is the button that we select create new project once everything is entered into this. So now we're going to get started, and the first thing I'm going to do is tick the buttons here and navigate to the working scenery folder. And now I'm going to select the working scenery folder, and that's where the project will be stored. And the project name is going to be test scenery. And when I hit space between the 2 words, it automatically puts a hyphen in. Now the creator name and the default company name is already in there because I entered that previously. And now I'm going to select create new project. So we're building a new package, we're not importing anything. So the next step is to select package and hit next. And here's what we're creating. It's not an aircraft, an airport, a container, a visual effect. It's scenery, so that falls under custom. So select custom. And now I'm going to throw up another slate that you can grab a screenshot of. The package type selection window. Here's what you have. In this section here is the creator name for the content manager. This section here is the company name for the package and the folder. And you see that it was put in there by default because I had already entered it into the wizard. This will be the package name. It will be the same that we entered earlier. And here we will select the package type. So the display title for the content manager is going to be test scenery. The company name is already in. The package name is going to be again test scenery, but when I put the space in, the hyphen will automatically be added. And the content type is going to be scenery, so we want to tick scenery. I'm going to tick next. And the asset group I'm going to select is a BGL. That's what you use for regular scenery. And I'm going to name the BGL now. I'm going to call it test scenery to keep it consistent. And I'm just going to leave it 1 word. And there we go. In here, I'm going to select BGL. And now I'm going to hit create. And now in the project editor, you can see the package name. It says Patriot 6 Test Scenery. You can see the BGL Test Scenery. And up in the project inspector, we already have the company name, the package name, the title for the content manager, and the creator name for the content manager, and it is scenery. So the next thing I'm going to do is tick on the thumbnail, and it shows you here that the thumbnail size is mandatory, 412 by 170 pixels. And I'm going to navigate to the working scenery folder and grab the thumbnail we created earlier. Now the next step, I'm going to save the project for the first time. This saves the project, which you have to do, and I mentioned that earlier. And the next step is to build the initial package. The package is built, and if you look up on the console here, you have errors that are inherent to SDK. At this particular time, there's 401 errors, but I have not generated any errors. 0 of 401, so I'm good to go. And now I'm going to tick on the project. Here in the project inspector, I'm going to tick on Test Scenery BGL. And up on the inspector, I'm going to load in editor. And all of the windows popped up. Mine are already in place. You will have to resize yours and put them where you want them. And now I'm going to bring a slate up for you to take a screenshot. On this slate, it explains what each window does. Okay. The objects window allows you to find and add scenery objects. So everything that you're looking for in terms of scenery, we will look in the objects window. The gizmo is used to manipulate objects. We can translate, rotate, scale, and select the elevation of the object off the ground. The scenery editor has everything that we have put in the project. Right now it has nothing in it because we haven't added anything. But as we add objects, they will be seen in the scenery editor. The material editor is where you select all textures and materials that you may use, like grass, textures for taxiways, textures for tarmacs, etc. All of these will be found in the material editor. The project inspector just shows project parameters. As you saw earlier when we were building the project, all the project parameters showed up here. In the properties window, the properties of anything you have ticked will show up in this window. And it has some uses that later on in the tutorials I'll show you. With this window, you can manipulate colors and snap to ground and various things we're not going to do in this tutorial, but later on you will see the properties window in use. And the project editor indicates all of the project information as you've already seen when we built the project. And now I'm going to move the material editor out of the way. And now we're ready to add scenery. And I'm going to keep this real simple. I'm going to add one item, show you a few things with the manipulation of the gizmo, and then we're going to save it, build the package, put it in the flight simulator, load it back up, see that the package works. So up on the objects window, I want to make sure scenery is ticked, and I'm going to tick all. And by doing that, it picks up everything that's in the Microsoft Flight Simulator scenery library. Let's just add a light. So I'm going to type lamp. And I'm going to look for a particular light that I use all of the time. We actually have pictures of them now, whereas in Flight Simulator 2020, we did not have pictures, so it was a little more difficult. So every lamp that's in the scenery library is here for you to see. And here's one I use quite often. It's part of the FS base scenery, and it's a street lamp triple type 4. I'm going to tick on that, and I'm going to hit add. And there is the street lamp. Now I'm going to see if this street lamp works. If I selected the right one, it should work. And the street lamp does work. Now in the gizmo, you can see the lat, long, and the altitude of this particular object. So basically what you are doing when you build scenery is you have a lot of objects in your library, and basically all you are doing is just this object goes at these GPS coordinates at this specific altitude. And that's really all you're doing. Right now I have it set for translate. So I will tick on the object. And with translate selected, I can translate and move the object around. If I wanted to rotate the object, I would hit rotate on the gizmo, and that allowed me to spin the object around. If I wanted to change the object scale, I would tick on scale, and that would allow me to rescale the object to a different size. I'm going to go back to translate, and over on the properties, I told you earlier that whatever you have ticked, the properties will show up here. And say for an example, we wanted this to be above the ground, which happens from time to time when you're building scenery. So I'm going to remove snap to ground. And now I can actually raise it up off the ground. But we don't want it up off the ground. This is just for demonstration, so I'm going to tick snap to ground back, and it should go back to the ground. And as I told you before, in the scenery editor, you can see the objects that we've added, and you see the street lamp type 4 triple added. And this all I'm going to add so we can test a project. And if you wonder, the material editor is here. I just moved it off to the side where it's not in the way, because I'm not going to be adding any materials. Now I'm going to save the scenery, and I'm going to have to set the path up. So I'll tick save scenery, and now it's looking for where the scenery needs to go. So we're going to package sources, and then we're going to scenery, and then we're going to test scenery, and then test scenery again, and we should be at the complete bottom. And now I'm going to give it a name. Again, I'm going to use test scenery. And now I'm going to save. And the scenery is saved. Now, if you're building a large project with a lot of things, I do recommend you saving very often. Now, for an example, if I want to add another street lamp, I'll add and say move it over here. And now when I hit save scenery, I won't have to reset the path because I set the path with the first. So I'm going to save. See, it automatically saved. I didn't have to set the path again. And with all the scenery objects for this test scenery I plan to add, I've saved the scenery. You always want to make sure you save the scenery before you stop, and I did. I'll hit it one more time just to be sure. Build the final package. And now we're going to do the final package build. So over on the project editor, I'm going to tick on the package. You notice it says outdated, and that's because we've added stuff since it was last built. And when I tick on this, then the package information comes back up in the project inspector again. And now I'm going to build the final package. The final package is built. And again, if we look on the console, we have not introduced any errors. So I can exit out of the console, and now I can start shutting down the editors. And now I'm going to pull up the working scenery folder, move the package to the community folder. Here is the scenery folder we've been working on, test scenery. And I'm also going to open the community folder. Now from the working scenery folder, I want to open up test scenery. And here is the information, but we see packages, so I'm going to open up the package, and this should be our package here. Now I'm going to copy. I'm going to paste in the community folder, and there it is. And anytime you put a new folder into the community folder, you need to restart the flight simulator to pick up the package. At this time, I'm going to restart MSFS 2024 and look at the scenery we added. Test the package. Okay, I'm back in the simulator now. I restarted it to load our package, so we should be able to find our street lights here. I am in the developer camera just for easy access. And there is our lights. And that's how easy it is to build a package. We'll test it to see if the lights work. And there we go. The lights work, and we have created our first scenery project. Wrap up. I hope that you found this tutorial useful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, feel free to drop those in the comments below. Also, if you just want to thank me for making this, I appreciate that. And if you will subscribe, this will be a good way for you to get more information on building scenery going forward. All the interaction that's done, like thumbs up and comments and subscriptions, really pushes the algorithm, and it helps my videos to be found easier by other people. So I do appreciate the engagement. If you choose to engage, I appreciate it. And with that, I'm going to close this video out. And thank you for watching Patriot 6. Please come back and watch other videos.
Patriot Six, scenery builder.